Strathcona County is a vibrant community in Alberta, Canada. Set in the center of the province's energy and agricultural heartland, this area also plays a big role in telling Canada's energy story. Their mayor, Rod Frank, is here to share his municipality's approach to energy. Hi, welcome, Mayor Rod. Great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, it's good to see you here because I know that Strathcona County, you guys have quite the energy story. You've got a lot that you've been doing. You're a big player in the energy sector, and you have a lot of industry firsts. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, it is quite an interesting origin story, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The first oil refinery in Strathcona County goes back to about 1948. Now, how did that come about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a refinery built in Whitehorse up north in the Yukon during World War II for World War II purposes. The war ended. In 1947, oil was discovered in Leduc County, which is just south of Strathcona County, and there was an opportunity for a refinery.
Hmm.
Now, believe it or not, that refinery was dismantled and brought south thousands of kilometers over ice roads and by barge and vehicle and non-roads to land in Strathcona County. So we feel we have the most well-traveled refinery in the world. But it does show the history goes back a long time, and we've continued to build on that in a responsible way. But just great decisions made along the way. And to the point now, we're the largest energy producer in Canada. We're the third largest energy sector industry in North America.
Wow.
It's just part of our DNA. And now we're pioneering things like hydrogen production, carbon capture pipelines, biodiesel. So diesel being produced through canola. So very calculated risks being taken, but trying to be ahead of the curve and doing things that produce economic development, produce jobs, but doing it in an environmentally sustainable way, which brings us to SMRs.
Well, good question. And with SMRs, I mean, we're going to get to that in a minute, but what lessons have you learned, like from being one of the first, in
Yeah,
Canada? I would imagine you probably are an inspiration for a lot of people.
yeah. I mean, I grew up here, and I think um, it starts with being transparent. I like the
Mhm.
term radical transparency, letting the public in on what's going on.
Yes.
So as a kid, we knew the refineries were there, and we were educated on them. And so I think that contact with the public is very, very important. Making sure they're well informed, that they're giving us their opinions, that we are always keeping safety first in mind, and that we are being responsive to the public. Because otherwise, if you don't have social license, I mean, you're being irresponsible, and plus, you're not going to have a very long life politically, that's for sure. So that contact with the public is very important. Now, very, very important to be open to support from other levels of government, to work with other levels of government, to tie into their agendas, and then working with industry. Industry has to feel that they're wanted, that there's an opportunity for them to succeed. And so we put a lot of effort into economic development. We have a very strong economic development team. We work with the AIHA, the Alberta Industrial Heartland Association, the SIA, the Strathcona Industrial Association for economic development. So I think a big part of all this really is transparency.
That's excellent. And you touched on it a second ago, was you have to listen a lot. You have to get a temperature check on, because if you're going to be, transparent and be open, you got to be listening and be reactive to what's going on, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you can try and rush things, but that's not going to work in the long run.
Yeah.
So I can tell you some of these investments, they'll take 8, 9, 10 years to happen. I mean, a council could be long gone, the one that started the initial conversation, but in the long run, that's how you're going to succeed.
Being an area that is energy intensive, you would say, in what ways does your region recognize sustainability?
Yeah, we realized early on with our current council and the previous council that environmental sustainability was now very, very important to just, it's a solid middle class value. And it's very, very important part of the solution going forward. So I mentioned earlier, but things like carbon capture started here in Strathcona County, and it's a proven method. The longest carbon capture pipeline in the world goes through this county.
Awesome.
Um,
Wow, that's
em-
amazing.
yeah, emission targets. Um, as I mentioned, hydrogen production, and so we're pioneering things. And hydrogen, of course, doesn't emit any uh, carbon at all. And hydrogen production, we're pioneering it with a hydrogen bus that we have in Strathcona County. There's also one in Edmonton next door. Um, we have a hydrogen powered house in Strathcona County on a trial right now.
Wow.
Yep, we are considering using hydrogen to power one of our rec centers. So hydrogen. Then I mentioned also biodiesels. The largest biodiesel refinery in Canada will be in Strathcona County, probably complete. The construction's well underway. That'll be complete in the next couple of years. So it's part and parcel. We all see the value of solar. We all see the value of wind, but you need a stable base load energy source,
You
and
do.
you've got to come up with other means of producing energy, and so we're always open
Consistently.
to that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you can't have any fluctuations in the energy flow for sure. Um, Hydrogen. The power of hydrogen, as we all know, it's big, it's amazing. So it's how is it being applied to industrial processes in your area?
Yeah, it's an interesting story because the
Hmm.
hydrogen discussion again is sort of a more recent one in its current form anyhow, only 2 or 3 years old. But the truth is hydrogen's been used in this region for industrial purposes for quite a number of years. So it's used in fertilizer production, in refining oils. It's used in multiple petchem processes. So uh, yeah, it's in some of the applications we talk about transportation. That's a novel idea. When we
Yeah.
talk about home heating, that's a novel idea, but it does have quite a strong record industrially.
It would. Yeah, it definitely does. And even with heavy transportation, heavy transport, used in that way. Um, so what is next? What's next for Strathcona County? On the energy side and the sustainability side.
Well, we're continually working on on production of energy and going down the value chain to more petchem applications. Uh, Hydrogen, we talked about it being used industrially. It's also hydrogen for export is a real possibility. There's Asian countries, Japan and Korea specifically, that have a need for hydrogen. There's some problems to solve on exporting hydrogen,
Hmm.
but that is definitely part of what's going to be important going forward. And finding other ways to produce energy that's going to meet our economic needs and our citizens' needs, but at the same time, not harming the planet. So that's not an easy question, but we want to be part of that solution. And we want to look at all possible ways of getting that done.
Coming up soon, very soon on March 4th and 5th, you are co-hosting with, I believe it's Parkland County, Strathcona and Parkland. You're co-hosting the Small Modular Reactor Canada Summit. That was a lot of words in there. So why is it important for you to be part of that summit in a sponsorship way or
Well,
hosting? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've given part of the answer already impliedly, but uh, this is so the talk on nuclear really went silent in Alberta about 15 years ago. There was no talk about it. And we started to notice about 2 or 3 years ago that discussions about SMR were evolving. And um, the first motivation was, what is going on? We've got to educate ourselves about this. And then secondly, we started to see the opportunity here to be part of the discussion. So I think a great win about this is having a conference on SMRs. It's going to get industry leaders, governmental leaders, provincially, municipally, perhaps even federally, talking about this and giving them a platform to educate members of the public, to educate governments, also though to create networking opportunities. So to me, you got to be part of this discussion going forward. This is a real possibility of solving some energy problems. I mean, there's many people that are leaning very, very hard into it. And Ontario is doing very well in this area, New Brunswick, even Saskatchewan. We want our community, we want our region, we want our province to be also in this discussion front and center. And you can't get anything done without building relationships. So this is where it all starts for me, is having this conference, building relationships, getting educated on the opportunity. And, there's going to be risks. There's going to be opportunity, and we have to be aware of all that. You just can't, be the ostrich. It's not going to work.
It definitely puts Strathcona on the map as well, the SMR map, that we're interested. We want to learn more. We're open to this. Let's continue the conversation.
Well,
You're attending the conference that's coming up. What do you hope to take away from the conference?
I hope I'm exhausted after the 2 days, because I've been to so many different education sessions and so many networking opportunities. But I see this as a real opportunity to connect, first of all, municipally. There's going to be mayors from Ontario that are heavily into nuclear. There's going to be mayors from Alberta, Saskatchewan that are very, very interested in this subject. There's going to be mayors from the Maritimes. So just connecting at the municipal level alone is going to be a great opportunity. But I know we're going to have provincial government representatives. We're going to have industry there. We're going to have pioneers in this industry. It is really, and this is only the second ever SMR conference of this nature in Canada. So absolutely thrilled to have it here, where energy is such an important part of our daily life in Strathcona County. So many people connected with it, and making it easy for them to become part of this. So just a great couple days, but I'll be tired. I'm sure I will be.
Well, and your head will be full of a lot of great
Yes.
information and knowledge. I wish you all the success, in the upcoming conference. And thank you so much for talking to me today, Mayor Frank, and wishing you all the best with your
Yes.
energy future.
Thank you, Maria. My pleasure. Please come out to Strathcona County one day. I'd love to host you too.
I'd love to come.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Now you know what's next for Strathcona County around energy and sustainability. I'm your host, Maria McGowan. This podcast is sponsored by the Smart Energy event, and it's taking place in April. Make sure you register. Bye for now.